Hello everybody, welcome back once again. Then this is your host Saurabh Parikh once again with you, and we will jump into few more challenging questions. So ready for it? Let's get cracking. I hope your previous question and answers from the previous episodes that you would have seen would have added some value to you. I'm always here to add some value, whatever incremental value that I can add in your PMP preparation. It would be my privilege, and it would be certainly helping you too, I'm sure. Right? So let's get cracking on few more challenging questions. This time coming from integration knowledge area. Few of the people, I think the integration area comes difficult. You know why? Because it's integration of all the project management subsidiary areas like scope management, schedule management, cost management, etc. So my experience in this industry from last 3 decades says that integration questions are generally difficult because you guys have not really in practice put all the areas into cohesive whole. Understand my word, cohesive whole. There will be one question on that there. PMP test you on this kind of a cohesive questions which you can really think through a different piece of your mind, right? We'll talk about that so in a short while. Might be few difficult questions we come across, but rest assured, once you are prepared through this area, I'm sure you'll get a lot of benefits out of it. Okay, so here you go. Question 1 on the screen. The customer has accepted the completed project scope. Understand what he's saying. The customer has accepted the completed project scope. However, see that word however, the lessons learned required by the project management office PMO have not been completed. What is the status of the project? Now, if I'm a little more smarter, probably like you, I would think through why is the question itself mentioning one, however, that's a differentiator here, and two, PMO, what's the use of it? Customer has accepted. What could be the answer? Let's see the options. And I'm sure this kind of a mental preparation, even before looking at the options, prep your mindset so well positively that you just take about 20 seconds, not more than that, to jump on the answer. Here you go. Option 1. The project is incomplete because it needs to be replanned. We will skip it out for a while. Absolutely no relation to the question, right? Okay, out. Second, the project is incomplete until all the project and product deliverables are completed and accepted. Well, that's true. Let's park it in a parking lot as usual. Third option, the project is complete because customer has accepted the deliverables. Well, that's also true, very true. The statement itself says that customer is accepted. The last option, the project is complete because it has reached to its due date. Nothing is mentioned about a due date, and because of that it's completion. Okay, so I think that we will rule it out. So option 1 and 4 ruled out, or we could say option A and D ruled out here. Left with option B and C. Let's read quickly once again. The project is incomplete until all project and product deliverables are complete and accepted. And third is, or the C is, the project is complete because the customer has accepted. There's a thin line difference. Did you notice that? Lessons learned are part of that project and product deliverables, right? And probably that's the keyword used in your question itself. So answer C will be ruled out, or option C would be ruled out. Answer is option B. This is how you're going to distill the right answers in this kind of a little more tougher game of integration. But don't worry, since I'm with you, it's going to be easy. Don't worry about it. Hope that was a good one. Let's crack on another challenging one. Question 2 up on your screen here. Little lengthy question. Have some patience, please. Your well-planned project is likely to encounter a number of change requests and approved changes during its life cycle. In the change management plan, you have outlined the processes that you and others will use to understand the impact of the changes. Getting stakeholder acceptance of the decisions related to the change on the project is critical, obviously. And as a failed project could impact stakeholder value and earning projections of the organization. Can't be truer than this. Your attention is best focused on which of the following regarding changes to the project. Interesting question. Let's see the options. Option A, making changes. Option B, tracking and recording changes. Option C, informing the sponsor of the changes. Option D, preventing unnecessary changes. Let's go back quickly to the question and look at what context is the question asked and the options put. We can probably take elimination approach, as I always keep mentioning. Elimination is always good to have, isn't it? Let's see if we can eliminate some. If not one, two. If we can do all three, nothing like it. Here you go. Your well-planned project is likely to encounter a number of change requests and approved changes. You outline the processes that you and others, you understand the impact of changes. Getting stakeholder acceptance of the decision related to the change on the project is critical, as a failed project could impact the stakeholder value. Now, if you look at it, context of the question is asking about the change management, first of all, and hence the change request. Now look at the option A. Making the changes, obviously nothing related. That's a basic thing, understood. So we rule out that option. Option B, tracking and recording changes. Could be important. Your focus should be there as a part of the monitoring and control project process. Tracking and recording is important, no doubt about it. So let's keep it in a parking lot. Option C, informing sponsor of the changes. Well, not too bad, but not as good as option B, right? So I will still keep it in a parking lot for a while. And option D, preventing unnecessary changes. Wow. Here is where the complexity comes. Let's decipher more into it. Tracking and recording changes is equally important, if not more, than option D, which is preventing unnecessary changes. The answer has to be only one. So right now, between B, C and D, the least weighted option is C, which is informing the sponsor, which is obvious any which ways, right? I would remove that option for now. B and D. B happens to be proactive. D happens to be proactive. B happens to be reactive. Would you like to be proactive in your project management approach or reactive? Choose your answer. There you go. So that's the answer. Answer is D, option D, because we are proactively trying to prevent or trying to minimize the number of changes by ensuring that we do a pre-planning as much as we can upfront in the project. Look at the complexity of the question. But you guys are smart guys. Nothing to worry about it. So let's get going. One more complex, challenging question for you. Here you go. Question 3 on your screen. The customer on a project tells the project manager they have run out of money to pay for the project. What should the project manager do first? Understand the keyword, it's called first. It's not the next or the best. Again, just to remind you, please, in your exam, keep looking at this kind of keywords and beware of those keywords like double negation or of the keywords like must or never. These are the kind of words whereby your answers will never lie into it. Okay, so please beware of those kind of keywords. Here we go with the 4 options. Option A, shift more of the work to the later in the schedule to allow time for the customer to get the funds. B, close the project or phase. C, stop the work. D, release the part of the project team. Now let's understand. Question is all about I as a sponsor, for example, right? And you as a project manager, I tell you that I have run out of funds, right? Now, if you are so, attached to me emotionally well, you might say that, okay, let's try, if possible, to shift some of the deliverables or some of the work packages later, right? But that just postpone the challenge, right? That doesn't address the challenge. So I would probably remove A for a while. The A is not the right option for it, right? B, close the project or a phase. That's possible. Let's come back to it. Keep it in a parking lot. C, stop the work. Yeah, I can stop the work too. Agreed with you. So let's keep in the parking lot. And D, release part of the project team. That's outright out. There is no meaning to release the part of the project team. It's a part of the project team. Why? Not required. There is no relationship to the sponsor not having a fund and then the releasing of the team. Okay. So let's try to differentiate between option B and C, which are relatively closer to each other. Option B says close project or a phase, and option C states stop the work. Stopping the work won't solve the problem. Stopping the work will not get a sponsor the funds. There is no guarantee that sponsors, I for that matter, playing a role of the sponsor here, will be able to get the funds because there is no commitment from my side, right? What should you do? The best idea is to do an immediate one. If you are in a particular phase, close that phase, because closure brings a lot of value in the project management, whether you realize or not, right? Closure is important for us, okay? So either close the phase or a project. I would go with that answer. I hope that's clear. Tough question, I know, because in practice, what you would have done, you would have done either A or you would have probably done C. Assuming that sponsor will probably give us some money in near future, we will hold or we will probably stop the work for now, but that just don't solve the challenge that will probably ruin your relationship. So the best thing is to close the phase of the project. The best thing is to do between the two. If you are part of the phase, close the phase. Hope that was challenging enough to challenge your gray cells or to make your gray cells active once again. Okay. Hope that's going good. Let's go to the 4th question. Up on your screen here. Which of the following would be the most important to include in a charter of an agile project? 2 words, charter and agile project. Interesting. What are you thinking? A charter is only available in the waterfall or the predictive life cycle of the projects? May not be, right? Let's try to identify what's the truth. Option A. The roles and responsibility of the team members assigned to the project. B. Authorization for the product owner to prioritize the features to maximize the value. Such a beautiful statement on Agile. If you are so well prepared on your Agile from Rita, such a beautiful statement, isn't it? I would just believe that, oh, this is the right answer. But hey, hang on, I can't just take it as the right answer because I have two more options to go. So over A and B, I think B is better, right? Let's go to C and D and come back. C says the approvals required for specific product development milestones. Well, approvals required for specific product development milestones possible, absolutely possible. I generally would not see the milestones in the Agile Charter, but it's possible to have it. Companies do that. But is it compared to B option, does it even come nearby? Probably yes and no. Let's see after looking at option D. Option D says the pre-assigned resources available to the project. Nothing related to the pre-assigned resources. So I would probably have my option A and D eliminated for now, because A talks about my typical RACI matrix, which would be a part of which would be already available on the project, right? The question says which would be the most important to include in a charter, right? I would probably not go via the roles and responsibility route for now, right? It's a charter. It's a high-level project document created by the sponsor, right? That means the answer could be between B and C. Let's read quickly. B says authorization for the product deliverables. Authorization for the product owner. And C says the approvals required for specific product milestones. And obviously, the B stands much better than C. That doesn't mean C is wrong, no doubt about it. But between the two, the most important, that's what the keyword in the question asked, right, is obviously B. Without authorization, how would you even start working on the project, right? The product owner has to get the authorization to have the prioritization completed, isn't it? So that's where you choose B and not C. I hope that's getting easier and easier through this kind of either elimination or spot the best one if that's going to be easy. And we'll see some easy ones as well as we go. I hope you're still with me. Okay, so let's jump on the next one. Question 5. The project manager's many responsibilities include being of service to the team. Obviously, the project managers are the servant leaders, isn't it? I hope you are prepared on the leadership lesson. Integrating new team members as the project progresses, and ensuring that the project meets its objective within scope, time, budget, and other constraints. Which of the following best describes the project manager's role as an integrator? See, this is the classic question. Your role as an integrator, what do you think? If I make you as an integrator, right, in the role, which of course in the JD it doesn't mention when I appoint a project manager, but that's whenever a project manager's profile is created, this is an inherent understanding by any selector or anyone in the management that would go by default. And I'm glad that you guys are coming across this kind of integration area, because it really prepares well for you in a very formal note, a cohesive unit as a whole. That's the meaning of integration. I'm sure you would have read it in your RITA. Okay, so let's see the options quickly. Your role as an integrator. 1. Help the team members become familiar with the project. Okay. That's any which ways your job, whether you are integrator or not, right? No choice. So we will rule it out. 2nd, put all the pieces of the project into cohesive whole. That's a good one, because integration meaning cohesive whole. I already mentioned that, right? Okay. So let's keep it in parking lot. Option C says put all the pieces of a project into a program, absolutely unrelated, out. And option D says get all the team members together into a cohesive whole. Okay, that means between A and C, both are out. So B and D, which is the right one here? Is the role of a PM to put the pieces of a project into cohesive whole, or team members together as a cohesive whole? You decide. What did I mention about in the beginning of this? Scope, time, cost, right? So absolutely we will go with, the answer is clear. It's not related to team to be put it into the cohesive whole. That's anyway part of your resource management plan. But it is all the pieces of this puzzle to be put together, right? So the answer is B. Interesting one? Okay. So let's get going with a sixth one. And here you go. With me? Yeah. This is nice icebreakers for us on the integration today. Let's go and see what 6 has to say. Does it give you enough challenge? Let's see. At various points during the project execution, the project manager reviews the project charter. Do you do that? If not not often, but at times you should, right? Because you need to align the two things. One, the project charter should align to the objectives of the project at that particular point of time, whether it's aligned or not. Like in the COVID situation, many of the projects had to be cancelled, 50% plus. Why? No alignment. To whom? To the business objectives as well. Wow. So that's another point. Business objective alignment. Your answers would be in this kind of alignment to the project/business objectives. Look at that now. Let's read the question again. At various points during project execution, the project manager reviews the project charter. Which of the following best describes what a project charter may be used for when the work is being completed? Most of your answers to the questions, generally you would find in the last statement, you will get a hint about it. Similar to this one. Let's see this one. Option A, to make sure all team members are rewarded. Okay. To help determine if a scope change should be approved. Good one. To assess the effectiveness of the change control system. To make sure that all documentation on the project is completed. Okay. Now, if I have to take an elimination round in this, look at the question. What is this asking? Question is asking, which of the following best describe what a project charter may be used towards the completion of the project? Is it at all related to documentation? Obviously not. Why should I be in the worry? Why should, first of all, documentation is such a detailed level in the charter itself? It has to be probably in the scope document as a part of the scope or work packages that you have defined or part of the phases. So out. So option D is out. Option C, to assess the effectiveness of the change control system. Is this a part of the process? Why should a charter include that kind of a process? It has to be a part of integration plan, or it has to be part of the change management plan, right? So I would ignore C for now. C and D out. Why eliminate? Now out of A and B. To make sure all team members are rewarded. Is it anything to do with the charter? Rewards and recognition is part of resource management plan, which is part of the planning process. Charter doesn't talk about planning process at all, right? So obviously I have eliminated 3 now. So obviously the answer is B by default, and that's so true. It says that to help determine if the scope change should be approved, because if my project objectives are not aligned to my business priorities or business objectives any longer towards the closure, then probably I need to still review the scope changes and the impact of the scope changes. whether it gives me a positive impact, negative impact, whether do I have a time or not. You are at a closure cycle, right? What kind of changes would impact this existing project, or what impacts would be the changes from this project would be making. So I would go with answer B. I hope that was good one. Let's go to the next one. Coming up on your screen here, question 7th. A project management plan should be realistic in order to be used to manage the project. I and you both agree, obviously. Which of the following is the best method to achieve a realistic project management plan? Nice question, isn't it? Talk about reality. 1. The sponsor creates the project management plan based on input from the project manager. Is your sponsor create the project management plan? In my career, no sponsor created project management plan, for sure. Even if he or she knows, he'll never do it. Obviously, that's your role anyway. Your role, even you do not define in RACI matrix, it's your default role. So I would eliminate that first option. Option B, the functional manager creates. The moment you see functional manager create, out. Don't even spend time in reading the remaining part of the question. It's straightforward out. No way. I'll still read for you. The functional manager creates project management plan based on input from the project manager. Again, I have never seen a functional manager creating the plans. Because if there is a role of a PM, unless FM, functional manager himself or herself is a PM, that's a different thing. But then you have a segregation of duty in the same role, isn't it? So I would eliminate B. Option C says the project manager creates the project management plan based on inputs from senior management. And the last one, the project manager creates the project management plan based on input from the team. Here you go. The senior management role is over creating the charter. Project management plan is the part of planning process group. Senior management doesn't have to contribute much onto that, right? Once they have defined it. Yes, they can definitely help. But more inputs, more than the senior management, would be given by your on-the-ground cross-functional team. I'm sure you would have also done the same thing, right? That was an easy one. So the answer is option D. I hope that's going good with you guys. Let's go to the next one. A challenge. Hope still you're still with me. The project manager is working on clearly describe the level of involvement expected from everyone on the project in order to prevent rework, conflict, and coordination problems. Let me repeat this. Rework, conflict, and coordination. 3 things could be part of 3 different things areas altogether. Which of the following best describe the project manager's efforts? Interesting question. I like this. In fact, challenging as well. Let's repeat this question. The project manager is working to clearly describe the level of involvement. Whose? Project managers. Expected from everyone. No, it's everyone's effort on the project in order to prevent the rework, conflict, and the coordination. Let's look at the options. 1. Develop the project management plan and plan quality management. Interesting. I think I should keep it in my radar. Let's see. Option B. Manage stakeholder engagement and direct and manage project work. This is part of execution process. Nothing to deal with this rework, conflict, coordination. Not really. I can probably still keep it with me on my radar. 3rd, validate the scope and controls quality. This is part of monitoring and control project. keep it for a while. And finally, identify risk and develop project team. Now, let's look at all the 4 options. Seems to be very interesting options. If I look at very closely on the absolute nearness to the questions asked, or to the question asked, 2 keywords I can find, 3 keywords I found. Prevent rework, conflict and coordination. So now, prevent rework and conflict is part of project management plan, which is nothing but integration of all the subsidiary, those 9 different plans is a PMP, project management plan. So your rework and conflict is part of a project management plan. And you know what? I'm sure you would agree with me. Conflict and coordination problems, these 2 are part of project management plan. Rework is a part of plan quality management. I'm sure you agree with me here in terms of these 3 different keywords where you talk about rework, repair, defect repair, whatever keywords you use is part of the quality, obviously, as defined by the Demings of the world. And the conflict coordination happens to be part of project management plan. Directly relates to option A over the B, C and D. We don't look at options B, C and D in that case. So right answer is E. And not related to execution, which is the option B. Not related to the monitoring control, which is option C. Of course, not related to the risk identification at all, right? It's much better answer than the risk identification is the project management plan and the quality management plan, right? So that's option A. Question 9. All the following are the parts of direct and managed project work process, meaning execution process. Except, look at this kind of words, except. That means there will be 1 option eliminated, remaining 3 options will be correct. So which 1 option can we eliminate? Let's see. This could be easy. Let's see. Identifying the changes. No, you can always identify the changes during the execution. Using a WBS, interesting. Let's keep it in a parking lot, work breakdown structure. Let's not eliminate. I'll tell you the reason. Implementing corrective actions, of course, that's a part of execution any which ways. Where you implement the corrective actions, you get approval on the corrective actions or the change control processes in the monitoring and control, and implement those plan of action as you any which ways do in a real practices or real life scenarios too. And 4th is setting up a project control system. Setting up a project control system. What is to do with the direct and managed project work? It's eliminated altogether. So for me, right now between the option B and D, using WBS, understand it's not saying creating WBS, it's using a WBS. That means that's a part of execution process, or we call direct and manage the project work, isn't it? So the right answer that could be eliminated is D. Remaining all 3 are related to the direct and managed project work. I think that was easy. In real life should be 10 seconds, not more than that. If you're really like me, gone through all Rita multiple times probably. All right. Up here on the screen, next one. Question 10. You are in the middle of leading a major modification project for an existing manufactured product. When you learn that resources promised at the beginning of the project are not available. How many of your projects have this kind of situation? Don't tell me always. Of course, you might tell me. But yeah, many times, right? It's a very true situation mapping to real life experiences, isn't it? I have faced many times, to be honest. How do we solve it? Let's see if there is a solution. in this? Let's see. According to your plans, these resources will be needed soon, as usual, as of yesterday, probably. And their unavailability will affect your timeline and possibly other aspects of the project, which is but obvious. What is the best thing to do? Now it's a solution given here in those 4 options. Let's see, what do you choose? 1. Show how the resources were originally promised to your project. Does it add any value just by proving or just by showing that your resources, okay, Mr. Sponsor or whoever, these resources were promised on the project, Mr. Functional Manager, so we need it back. Nothing works out. There's no solution out of it, right? Showing them. So what? Now there is a better priority and hence the resource will be not available. Not an option, right, for us. So I would eliminate A. Option B says replan the project without the resources. Replanning without resources? Completely out. Nothing relevant at all. Statement itself is irrelevant. 3rd, explain the impact if the promised resources are not made available. Obviously, there would be impact, so you could probably explain. That's a good option. But let's see the option D before you choose. You think the option C is better option amongst A, B, C? I do. So let's keep it in a parking lot. And D says crash the project. How does crashing the project would help? First of all, what do you mean by crashing? Is a part of the compressed schedule technique, which says add the resources into the project so that you can reduce or compress the timelines of the project. That's called crashing. You don't have resources. Where would you crash the project? Out. So D option is eliminated. Then the right option is the C, where you do an impact analysis to the respective stakeholders, saying that in fact if you can do proactively, nothing like it, believe me. If you can do really proactiveness in this, then it will be awesome, seriously awesome. Try to be as proactive as you can on this, whereby you do an impact analysis and highlight this as a risk in advance. Hope that's easy. And you're still with me? Last couple of them now, right? Just be with me for next few minutes only. And that's the next or a second last one on your screen coming up. Question 11. You are the project manager for an existing year-long project that must be completed. See, it says year-long project that must be completed. It could be April to March or Jan to December. Your company just won a major new project. Wow, congratulations. It will begin in 3 months and valued at $2 million. A good one, really good one. It seems to be. For organization also, it might be really valuable, must be prioritized, etc. The new project has a greater starting value and is therefore likely to have a higher priority than your project. Obviously, if I'm part of a senior management, I would place a good priority on $2 million project, right? No doubt about it. It may affect your resources. In my practical experiences, it does impact my resources. But yeah, that's a nice statement. It may not, depends. You are concerned about how will you manage your project so that both the projects can be implemented successfully. Understand that you are the project manager of an existing project and this new project coming up. If you have a shared resource system, shared resource pool, this could impact. So be careful on that. What would you do if you were me? What would you do? Interesting question. Very, very related to practical situations you might face. I face this. So let's see if you got an answer from the options. What is the first thing you should do when you hear of the new project? Again, a proactiveness question. Try to be as proactive as you can on this. Highlight the risk immediately if possible. If I was you, I would have done that. Let's see the options. Option A, ask management how the new project will use resources. Not too bad. It's okay. I'll put it in a parking lot. Second, resource level your project. Resource leveling your project. Nothing to do with this kind of things, right? Resource leveling will not help me in this. I will eliminate for a while. Crash your project. Absolutely unrelevant to it. So I will eliminate. And the last one, ask management how the project will affect your project. That's interesting one. So see option A and D compare with each other. A says ask management how the new project will use resources. Option D says ask management how the new project will affect your project. Understand? Option A is your job, not management's job. How to use resources in your project? It's your resource leveling definitely doesn't benefit your project. More than B, C and D, also more than B and C, don't you think a proactiveness lies in D? Because the B and C will be reactive. We're highlighting a risk by making by making management answer this question. What would be impact of new project on your project? That will help you build your strategies in place. And of course, then you can try to do a crashing or leveling and whatnot. Right? So I would go with the right answer, option D. Yeah? That was tough one, but yeah, very practical one, right? Let's look at the last challenge up on your screen here. And question 10. The client demands changes to the product specification that will add only 2 weeks to the critical path. Only 2 weeks. Which of the following is the best thing for a project manager to do? A, compress the schedule to recover the 2 weeks. Cut the scope to recover the 2 weeks. Consult the sponsor about the options. Advise the client of the impact of the change. Good options, right? At times, these kind of options might confuse you, but don't. You are well prepared, right? Like me, you will not get confused. Now let's understand each option. What it says is, the client is demanding the specification changes to the product specification. Add another 2 weeks to the critical path. Say critical path, that means there is zero float, right? 2 weeks to that. That means the project timelines can be delayed by 2 weeks. Would compressing the schedule to recover 2 weeks help right now? May not be the right option because it may compromise the quality of the deliverables. Let me see if there's a better option than that. Cut the scope out. You can't cut the scope. Come on. Scope, unless it's mentioned that the customer or your client doesn't need some of the requirements to be executed, you can't cut the scope. So eliminate it. Consult with the sponsor about options. Good option. Advise the client of impact of the change. Okay. Rather than now taking option 4, before that, what is the impact? You need to ascertain, right? So who else but the best possible person is the sponsor? So I will probably look at option C, consult with the sponsor. If you have multiple options, propose some of the options, get his approval, and then execute it, and then I'll take option D. Whereas option A, compress the schedule to recover, that can be looked at later on. So right now, the best thing for a project manager is to consult the sponsor, that means A, B, C. Put some 3 or 4 different options in front of sponsor with the impact analysis, and then let sponsor decide. So that both of you and your sponsor, on the same page. And there is absolutely no conflict, whatever it may be. I hope That was good one. This is another challenging one. I know that, but don't worry. Till the time I'm here to help you, my pleasure to always help you. I'll see you in the next episode. Till the time, keep preparing, keep challenging yourselves, and keep activating your graces. See you in the next. Good luck.